I think we have to add another wrinkle to this story is that in this poll, even though these are special election voters, these are people who are going to turn out on a Tuesday in February. We're thinking that turnout will be no more than 25%. Know that this is a district that in a presidential year, this year, we're probably going to be looking at 62 to 65%. Still, we ask these voters, in addition to who are you going to vote for on Tuesday the 13th, if your vote for president was right now, would you vote for Joe Biden or Donald Trump? And this district moves 9 points in Trump's direction. So instead of a
Wow.
4 point Democratic advantage when we pit Biden against Trump, Trump is 5 points up in this district amongst these highly motivated special election voters.
Hmm.
So again, if indeed it turns out that Swazi wins by this four, and to whatever extent there are any exit polls at all, and these very same voters would prefer Trump, that's going to weigh heavily on the national discussion moving forward.
Don, we heard every day while George Santos was still in office and there was an effort to have him ousted, starting about a day after he got here, that he was ruining the district for Republicans for the foreseeable future. Does this tell us that the people of New York 3rd are forgiving to the Republican Party because they have blamed the man?
Well, certainly the voters in New York 3 have a very strong Republican base. The Republican Party has a tremendously effective ground game there. Joe Biden is not popular in New York 3. He's about 18 points underwater in his favorability. And some of these issues, taxes, protecting New York 3 and New York in general from what is seen in the district as an uncontrollable influx of migrants, and also the issue of safety and crime in general. These are all issues that have worked in New York in general. You remember that Lee Zeldin came within 6 points in a race for governor against our governor Kathy Hochul in a state with a 2-to-1 Democratic advantage. So New York, although historically bright blue, is starting to trend a little bit towards the purple tone, especially in a place like New York 3.
Well, and when Joe was talking about the candidates in question here and how it's coming after George Santos, who obviously no longer is in Congress and can't be considered an incumbent here. But when we think about the body of Congress and the view of it, I also noticed you polled voters on the idea that Swazi used to be in Congress. And the question you asked was new energy and new ideas representing us in Congress. Do voters think that's needed? 58% said yes. Should that be a warning for all incumbents?
Well, it's certainly a warning for Tom Swazi. Tom Swazi is known in this district. Voters, in many cases, a majority feel as though he's had his chance. He was a 3-term congressman. Prior to that, he was the county exec in Nassau County. So there is a little bit of, we've seen this guy. Now, at the same time, Tom Swazi has his backers. And when we ask voters about some of the normal work of Congress people, issues that are important in this district, 9/11 relief, energy issues, the folks in New York 3 see Tom Swazi as being probably more effective than Mazi Pilip. So there is some anti-incumbent, and in some ways, Swazi is representing more the incumbent than, of course, is Pilip. But still, there's an undergirding of strength that Swazi has in the district. He's known. This is a district that felt as though they got blindsided. Mazi Pilip, although her biography has been really well vetted, has not been front and center around the district. They're debating tonight, the first debate. It's the first time that Swazi and Pilip will appear on the same stage. So there are still some voters who have not been fully introduced to Pilip, despite the amount of money that her campaign, and to a greater extent, Swazi has spent trying to tell the voters of this district who these candidates are. Swazi says he's a common sense problem solver who's going to go do the work of this district in Congress. The district knows him. Mazi Pilip is an unknown person, an engaging biography, and rides this wave of anti-Biden sentiment, of concern over crime, concern over migrants.
Yeah.
It's going to be a close election that's going to come down to turnout. In our poll, we have the turnout being equal percentages of Democrats and Republicans. We do that because we anticipate that Republican ground game really getting Republicans out. If this turnout looked like an election year, in an election year, the Democrats have a 10 to 11 point advantage in turnout. So Tom Suozzi has already said if he were not to prevail in the special, he's going to run again in November. An election year turnout, he might have a better opportunity than he has this coming Tuesday. Still, very close, 4-point lead for Suozzi.